I know, but we're going to do this review, and if you could just not always be so great, so I don't have to just always talk about the good things about these products. If I could bring our viewers something that was like negative, you know, maybe you could help out a little. Oh, hey, what's going on? James here, your ABX audiophile. Kind of caught me off guard there. We're having a little prep session with the old Vanatoo Encore Pluses. We just got done auditioning. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Let's talk about these guys. All right, so do you ever get tired of having to worry about what's the next DAC I'm going to buy? What's the next amplifier I'm going to buy? Do I use USB to transfer the signal, coaxial, optical? What speaker wires do I need to get? What's the best RCA? You know, all of that stuff that we have to worry about when we're talking about putting together a system. What if I told you for under $1,000, nope, scratch that, under $800, not even good enough. What if I told you for under $600, you could put together one of the best sound systems that I have heard, probably under $2,000, and just images and sound stages and performs almost beyond belief. And I'm telling you what, going through this Vanatoo series, if you didn't see our review we did on the Zero Pluses, going through this Vanatoo line of products has just really blown my mind in the sense of, you know, seeing what these two guys who started Vanatoo can do and bring to the table, and then to see that at such an affordable price. I think these start out at $599 plug and play. 2 speakers, a power cord, a remote, and an interconnect cable that connects the 2 speakers. You Bluetooth the dang co-buzz to it. You fire it up, man. You are rocking out, blissful. Let's talk about what these things are and why you should get them. All right, so let's talk about this guy. This is the Vanatoo Encore Plus. Oh, man, it's like 12 or 13 pounds, this guy, all alone by itself. Really, really cool. Let's get it to focus. You can see this nice matte finish on the front. Beautiful, some type of composite metal drivers. Same with the tweeter. It's got the little dispersion, nice wave guides there. You can see the sensor for the remote on the front. Comes with a beautiful remote. Cherry wood kind of cabinet, laminate. It is 3/4 inch MDF according to their website. Man, it's just beefy. It feels like this thing's just built like a tank. All bi-amp. So you've got a 100-watt Class D amplifier in here powering the woofer, and you've got a 20-watt amplifier powering the tweeter. So bi-amped, that's in both speakers. They're both that way. Same as the Zero when we were kind of reviewing that one. You've got a passive radiator. This passive radiator is on the back of the cabinet. Long throw passive radiator. You've got your power plug right here, just a little 2-pin. There's your on and off switch. Nice toggle switch there. Here's your connector cable to run to the other speaker. Something a little bit different on the Encore Plus than the Zero. This is actually a 4-pin kind of screw type, so you push it in and it screws. The Zeros were just a kind of a cat cable or a phone cable. Here is your inputs here, your coaxial digital in. You've got your optical in. You've got your USB, USB. They've got a USB port here for service. It says service on it. Here's where you can switch to whether you want the speaker to be the left or right one. Your Bluetooth pairing button again, an analog, and then your subwoofer out. So again, plug your subwoofer into this thing. Check the manual for what settings your subwoofer is supposed to be at. Plug and play your rock and roll. The integration is absolutely seamless. Beautiful drivers up here. Nice surrounds. Built really well. Tweeters has got a nice wave guide on it. Just really good looking cabinet construction. Let's see if we can get you a little shot of the back here. There we go. You can see the back. Full volume treble and bass knobs there. Completely controllable. There's that passive radiator. One of the things I didn't want to forget to talk about was, again, just like the Zero Plus, you've got the remote. Let's see if we can get that to focus in there for you. Fully functional on the remote. You've got all the different buttons there. controlling all of your bass and everything like that. Full DSP internal, so when you talk about integrating with subs, adjusting all your stuff like that, you can go in as deep to this speaker as you want, or as shallow as you want. You can just set it, forget it, plug and play, Bluetooth, rock and roll, or you can get into an array of adjustments and things and options that they have built in there. Oh, I do want to throw in, they come with these nice little magnetic grills, very thin mesh. Got the nice Vanatoo label here right on the front. You can kind of see that guy. On the back of them, this is really kind of cool. I mean, they got this nice plastic framework here, but here's your magnets, and they've got these really nice pieces of felt on the magnet. Makes it really nice, so when it clicks onto the front, you got a nice little buffer and barrier there. They just click right on, pulls them right into place. Really nice covers. So I will say, I usually don't get like super into the specifications and stuff. I'll post the link to their website in the description. You can get over to their website. I'd rather just bring you to their landing page. You can get all of the updated and accurate information and specifics on the Encore pluses as well as the Zero pluses. And so make sure you get over to Vanatoo and check them out. Link will be below. I'll guarantee you one thing, and I'll put all kinds of money on it. You will not find anything that does what this does for $599. You could put together all of the Chi-Fi DACs you want to. You could put together all of the small little Class D budget amps that you want to. You could buy the most raved about cheap bookshelf you want to and put that little system together and try to stay under $599? No way. Oh, I'm going to use the SMSL U1 DAC. I'm going to use the Fozzy V3 Class D amplifier with the 48 volt power supply. I'm going to use the Sony SSCS5s or whatever and put that system together. No, not even close. I have all of those things. They do not come close to what these do. All right, so let's get into how these speakers actually perform and sound. I always like to kind of start out with kind of overall soundstage presentation, and we'll get into kind of bass, mids, and treble and kind of run through that lineup. One of the tracks that is really good, the first one that I actually listened to this speaker, this system, I got to refer to it as a system, not a speaker, entire system. When I listened to this system, not only downstairs in my main reference listening room, but also here in the studio, either side of my desk, which is about 6 feet wide. So I got speaker stands on either side. And then I varied kind of in distance from the speakers. And one of the things that blew me away right off the bat, and Kelly mentioned this when he had them for review too, he spent a couple weeks with them as well. And one of the things that he was really raving about was how accurate they sound stage and image. Like, it is just absurd. And I'm telling you, there is no exaggeration there. I have heard $30,000 stereo systems that did not image as well as these Vanatoo pluses do. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, come on, James, that's ridiculous. When you have a system that places everything perfectly as it should be, and the distance between those things, instruments, artists, sound effects, whatever it is, and that sound stage is nice and wide outside the perimeter of the speakers, both in height, width, but also very, very good depth. But within that depth, you get the separation of the things. The person standing there singing to you and the bass player behind, or, you know, the guy up here rocking on the guitar, or whatever effects they're putting into the soundstage. When you get that imaging right, it is a magical thing. And Vanatoo somehow, I have no idea how, they got that part right. When you listen to, what is it, Besame, I got my list up right here, Besame Mucho by Marcin Wyrostek. I can't say that name, I'm horrible with those names. I'll you know me, I'll put the pictures up here, you can check them out. The placement of the instruments and stuff is absolutely phenomenal. Some of the best that I have ever heard. Have I heard systems that are more focused within that imaging and that soundstage, or maybe a little bit more detailed, or you know, maybe those fine details kind of around some of those imaging? Yeah, I've heard some speakers that do better, you know, at a pretty significant jump in price. almost kind of like the Zero. The soundstage is slightly behind the speakers, and it just pushes way out in front, gives a beautiful, beautiful depth and width and dimensionality to the soundstage. Listening to Chocolate Chip Trip, of course, I know we're all sick of that one, but it's such a good reference for that width and the rotation of that thing as it kind of comes towards you and away from you. Just absolutely perfect. Again, the Ballad of Bill Hubbard, you know, that little TV on the table is directly 90 degrees to you, and the dog barking's on the other side, so we have this, you know, massive radius of soundstage. It absolutely holds that down perfectly. I wouldn't say it's the most clean, focused soundstage that I've ever heard, and that's okay. Just what it does in imaging and soundstage, for me, kind of makes up for that. I mean, I could sit down and listen to my Clips Fortes or my Mark Audio SDTs, you know, at 10 times the price, and get a little bit more focus and detail and some of that slightly more audiophile sound, I guess, if you will. But when you sit down in front of these, the way they image and throw that stuff out there, you forget all about it. You really do. You just sit down and you're like, what the hell? You know, it's wild. When I sat my wife down here, I brought her in here and sat her down right here, and I played that same song, that Besamo Mucho song. And it's a light acoustical kind of song, but it has nice placement all over the soundstage. She was like, so you're telling me that the speakers are over there? Well, what's behind your computer screens? She goes, where's the speakers behind the computer screens? I said, there's no speakers behind the computer screens. And she was like, you're joking. And she like looks around, looks behind her, and she's like, well, is there speakers behind me? I'm like, no, there's nothing. That is just the Vanatoo Encore Plus is sitting on the speaker stands. And she was like, that's stupid. So anyway, that's how they soundstage. That's the overall. All right, so getting into kind of the bass, the low end, kind of the bass extension, how these perform. You know, a few of the tracks that we use, "Make Us Stronger" by Ghostwriter, all the standard ones that I always kind of talk about. "You and I" by Filler. You know, "Russian Joe" by Yellow. What else? "Origins" by Headflux. Those 4 songs are kind of like my bass thing, and especially in that "Make Us Stronger." If you go through the whole "Make Us Stronger" song, there's about 6 different types of bass, you know, all the way from like super low, just coming across the floor and working its way up, to like that kind of upper, lower, mid, upper, you know, bass region that kind of just punches you. You get that kind of impact. These things handle all of that phenomenally, and way more bass presence, extension, clarity, tightness than the Zero Pluses by far. I mean, obviously, the Zero Pluses have a tiny little driver. These guys are stepped up their game. Everything's bigger. But the Zero Pluses, I almost felt like, especially in the desktop setup, I had to have a subwoofer for the bass. So I brought my REL 1003s up here, and we implemented it, and just phenomenal integration. I didn't feel the need for a sub as much with these Encores. And to be honest with you, for about 90% of the time that I was auditioning them up here in my studio, I did not have the subwoofer set up. I didn't feel a need. And when Kelly had them over at his house, he had them set up in his main system. And he has this awesome little Super Cube subwoofer that is just a beast of a sub. And he said the same thing after almost a week with them. He goes, you know what the weird thing is? I haven't even hooked the subwoofer up. So, and he loves that sub. So that just kind of gives you an idea that they will handle the bass, and very well too. No sloppiness, no nothing. I mean, it's a completely sealed system, so everything's really, really tight and clean on the bass. Okay, kind of getting into the upper bass, mids, kind of moving into some vocal stuff. You know, the drum solo by Manu Cachet, we always use that one because that goes from kind of upper bass all the way to kind of upper mids, and even you get into some treble, so you kind of working them cymbals and stuff. But again, great composure, really nice realness on the notes. So when the drumsticks are hitting the diaphragm of the drum and he's just getting after it, it moves across the stage. It's placed where it should be. You can kind of visually see the drum set there. Sweet Dreams by Trinix. Again, Getting into that mid-range, very, very nice handled, you know, punchy, clean, tight. I mean, all of the descriptors you could think of. The C by Airy, you know, vocals, again, female vocals are accurate. You get into some of that sibilance. This is a little bit more of a laid-back type speaker. I wouldn't consider this a bright audiophile speaker. It's more of a musical speaker. So you lose a lot of that sibilance. Everything's going to be kind of sweet and smoothed out on the high end. You're not going to get any fatigue from listening to these speakers. You could run these things for hours and hours and hours on end. That being said, they are not rolled off. They are not warm. I would not consider these warm speakers. I would consider them probably forward of neutral in everything but the treble, the vocals, high end. And then in that space, we're backed off just a little bit, maybe neutral, but still good clarity. It's a very interesting thing. So that was a good song for vocals. Let's see, getting into some male vocals again. We always go to the Ghost of the Johnny Cash. Very robust and throaty, imaged perfectly, sat right where they needed to. Still had that nice staging and presence. Really, really good vocals. All right, so getting into the upper treble regions, kind of those higher end vocals, some of that sibilance and treble stuff. Listening to Birds, you know, everybody's played that one out 100 times. There is a little kind of sibilance that can make itself kind of apparent in some systems or some listenings. For instance, my Clips Fortes, that thing can get really bright, especially if you're on Axis. With the Encore Plus, I feel like that treble, that upper treble extension is kind of rolled back just a little bit. There's an overall kind of smoothness to it, but still retains really good focus and clarity kind of in that treble region. And I didn't notice that sibilance as much, even fully on Axis near field listening. During Summer Madness by Kool and the Gang, really nice transitions up through those high notes as they kind of fall off and decay. Again, just super really cool imaging. But overall, I enjoyed the treble a lot. Very smooth, comfortable. Again, this is a speaker that you could listen to for long periods of time with no fatigue. All right, so what didn't I like about the Vanatoo Encore Plus? What don't I like about this? The only thing, a couple things that I could find in this, again, like I talked about with the Zero Plus, you know, the fingerprinting of it. You know, they kind of use a little bit of a matte finish on this, which is better than piano, don't get me wrong. And trust me, I'm really trying to find some things wrong here. You know, a little bit fingerprinty. Other than that, we did notice, and it could just be break-in, we did notice when we were playing, after about a week, there was a little vibration that started to occur kind of in the back here. And what we had found was one of the little screws was just kind of barely backing itself out. It was just ever so slightly vibrating. And you could only hear it when the bass really started punching. It actually happened at Kelly's house. He was the one that was telling me about it. And I verified it. And we just snugged the screws back up, and it was all good to go. So Vanatoo, if you're watching this, I don't know if you use Loctite or, you know, blue or whatever on these screws here. You know, maybe that's something you want to look at, because these things freaking pound, man. You get that bass coming out of there, and things are moving around. So that was really it. Other than that, everything was, man, as expected in the price range, if not more. All right, so what are my overall thoughts? Overall thoughts, as you know, everything's cool with me. Any company, any individual like Vanatoo, you know, small company, couple guys trying to do a good thing, create an awesome hi-fi sound. And yes, this is hi-fi sound. You know, this is not mid-fi sound. I've heard them all. I've heard low-fi, entry-level mid-fi, middle mid-fi, high mid-fi, low hi-fi, mid hi-fi, high hi-fi. I mean, we've heard them all. This puts you right up into what that hi-fi sound thing is. It kind of gives you a glimpse. And yeah, for $599, you're not going to find better. So anyway, I hope you guys got into our Discord and got a hold of some raffle tickets. We just raffled off the Vanatoo Zero Pluses. We raised over $700 for charity. That all went to youth musical programs. If you want to be part of that work, or you want more information about what we do, we are the world's only 100% nonprofit reviewer. 100% of every penny we make goes directly to youth musical programs across North America. We do not get paid or sponsored by any of the components that we review. Most of them we purchase with our own money. We're just starting to get into a space now where we're getting some stuff sent to us. So I appreciate y'all hanging out. Check out all the links and information in the description below. And have a fantastic day. And try to do some good and pay some stuff forward. See you guys later.